This is CBC Vancouver News.
Consider taking shorter showers. Only do full loads of dishes and laundry.
Reduce your water use. The message from the province as severe drought conditions worsen the wildfire situation. Plus,
and there are fires regularly. People see them all the time.
How vulnerable is Stanley Park to a wildfire? Park Board commissioners are about to find out. And
staying true to the series, but also modernizing it.
The Beachcombers as a cartoon. A local team is hoping to bring back the beloved series in animated form. Good evening, I'm Tanya Fletcher. The wildfire situation is volatile tonight, with more unsettled weather bringing more anxiety to those on the front lines. Another round of evacuation orders has cleared out nearly 60 properties in northwestern BC. The Parrot Lookout fire just south of Burns Lake has also triggered an evacuation alert for another 40 properties. It comes alongside a warning from the province as we near severe drought levels. Conserve water. As Mira Baines reports, one region has already declared a local state of emergency.
After a weekend of more lightning-caused fires, firefighting resources are being stretched in northeast BC, Prince George and Caribou fire centres. Communities are asking for more help as worries grow over dry conditions. And officials say they're worried people will put themselves in harm's way trying to help.
Really are concerned about safety. We know that that's the number one priority, and we don't want people going out there not supervised and putting themselves in danger. But, we need to figure this out.
There are an estimated 312 active wildfires across the province, with 18 of them declared fires of note. The BC government declared a state of emergency for the Stikine region, which is unincorporated. Lightning lit up the skies over the weekend, and with little accompanying rain, it sparked fires on the tinder-dry ground. And BC Wildfire Service says more lightning strikes and wildfire starts are expected in the coming days.
Question of this being a turning point for the season. I think all indications are that we will be fighting these fires, as well as additional starts we may pick up in the next few days and obviously the next few weeks for the remainder of the summer.
Chapman says more resources and international firefighters have been requested. But with an already active fire season Canada-wide, those fire crews are already spread thin. Fire is but one concern, drought is another. BC residents are being asked to practice water reduction as large parts of the province are already at level 4 drought conditions, with level 5 being the highest.
Consider taking shorter showers. Only do full loads of dishes and laundry. Water your lawn sparingly.
Emergency Management and Climate Readiness Minister Bowen Ma says it might be a few weeks before people are impacted, but warns conditions are serious.
We're reaching out to communities to begin discussing more measures. The primary areas of concern at this time are the northeast, as well as the lower mainland and the island.
She says 17 out of 34 water basins are sitting at level 4, marked in red on this map. Ma says she will be providing a more detailed update on drought conditions later this week. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
The Vancouver Park Board wants to know how vulnerable Stanley Park is to future wildfire.
There is a plan. It was written in 2009. And so it's just 14 years out of date, and things have changed. Climate has changed. The summers are drier, hotter, longer.
Commissioner Tom Digby put forward the motion to update Stanley Park's fire risk mitigation plan, as he mentioned there, for the first time in 14 years. That motion passed unanimously tonight. Digby says he's most concerned with the number of dead trees in the park killed by a looper moth outbreak over the last 3 years. Staff will now work on updating that plan. 2 people were taken to the hospital after a crash on the Coquihalla Highway that shut down traffic for several hours this afternoon. BC Emergency Health Services says they were called to a stretch of the highway between Merritt and Hope just after 2 p.m. today. They dispatched 4 ambulances and 2 air ambulances to the scene. The Coquihalla was closed in both directions until around 6 o'clock tonight. Southbound lanes are expected to be closed still until tomorrow morning. Cell phone records were presented at the trial today for the man accused of killing a 13-year-old girl in Burnaby. They show that calls made from Ibrahim Ali's device were picked up by a cell tower where the victim's body was found. Ali's phone was taken by police the day he was arrested in July 2017. Bell Mobility was ordered to release the phone records associated with the number. It's not clear how many towers Bell has in Burnaby or where exactly the calls came from, but an employee testified that usually the closest tower to a phone tends to be picked up. Prosecutors allege Ali sexually assaulted and strangled the teen girl in Central Park that night. They say the cell phone records support their case. Ali has pleaded not guilty. Federal Green Party leader Elizabeth May is at home recovering after being hospitalized in Saanich for fatigue. Her husband says it's because of a, quote, idiotic parliamentary schedule. The spring sitting for the House of Commons was extended in June to pass government bills and clear tasks before the 3-month recess. May will now be recovering at home for another week before resuming her summer duties. To Chilliwack now, where a dairy farmer is turning waste into a valuable fuel. He's producing natural gas from manure to heat homes. Radio Canada's Camille Vernet looks at why.
For this farmer, manure is much more than just waste.
That's money, it's renewable energy, and it's nutrients that can go back to the soil. We realized that we needed to take what was waste and turn it into something that is a product or of benefit.
Betting everything on this $40 million biomethanization plant made it possible.
The project is quite a big risk in a lot of ways, but we felt that from the long-term sustainability of the farm and from an environmental perspective in the long term, we needed to do something.
It all happens in these large containers where bacteria breaks down a mixture of manure and organic waste. The resulting methane, naturally produced, is captured and transformed into renewable natural gas. But what seems like a simple process took years of work.
All our thought and all our effort into this project for 2 years of construction, and it's really amazing to see it now coming together.
The farm's main source of income comes from selling this gas to FortisBC.
We signed 20-year contracts, and that gives the farmer the security needed to go and get financing to build the facility.
Farmers are not the only one doing this. At the Surrey Biofuel facility, organic waste from all over Metro Vancouver is also transformed into gas. Even trucks can be powered by this fuel.
This year we expect to have about 5 million gigajoules, and that's about 2.5–3% of our annual throughput on our system.
One of the main barriers, complex and costly infrastructures, says the scientist.
It's not a windfall from heaven. It takes a lot of hard work, but with that, it's a tremendous resource.
On the farm, this part of the plant is still under construction. It will soon use what's left from the process to produce fertilizer.
You've taken care of some of your waste, you've created energy out of a renewable resource, and you preserve the nutrients in a usable way so that you can take them and cycle them around one more time.
George Dick believes that agriculture can play a big part in mitigating greenhouse gas emissions.
We've started down the path as far as the methane collection from manure. There's a few other things that we can do, and I think as we go along, I think dairying has a big part to play.
He's determined to transition to a more sustainable way to farm. Camille Vernet, CBC News, Chilliwack.
Last week, the state of Iowa started allowing small dairy producers to sell unpasteurized goat milk and sheep's milk. Supporters of that decision say raw milk tastes better and is more nutritious. Unpasteurized or raw milk is illegal to sell in BC because it doesn't go through the heating processes that kill harmful bacteria like E. coli and salmonella, leaving those who drink raw milk at a higher risk of food poisoning and disease. It is possible to get raw milk in BC if you own a milk-producing animal. But as Dr. Melissa Lem explains, healthcare professionals do not recommend drinking it.
Well, believe it or not, unpasteurized milk is actually one of the world's most dangerous foods. So it causes 3 times more hospitalizations than any other source of foodborne disease. And over the past 2 decades in North America, thousands of infections with E. coli, listeria, or salmonella, including even some hospitalizations and even deaths, particularly in children and pregnant people, have been caused by raw milk products, especially in states in the US where those sales are legal. That said, food regulators have been pretty good overall at keeping our food system safe for a long time. But as a result, many people don't know what it's like for someone they know to get seriously ill from food, so they're more willing to take risks.
And from health news to entertainment news, the CBC TV series The Beachcombers could be returning to the airwaves as a cartoon. A local team has assembled to reimagine the classic show as an animated series. We spoke to them about why the show still matters and what kind of fresh ideas they have.
I saw a poster on the wall of all the characters, and it just came to me, why not Beachcombers animated? Lately, our Bob's Burgers and, King of the Hill is being rebooted. Shot my daughter a picture of the poster, and I said, do you think you can draw these guys in a King of the Hill kind of style? Sent some drawings back that pretty much nailed it. And then I phoned an old colleague. He knew the creators. And so it took him about, to hunt everybody down about 4 or 5 months. We got the rights, and then how do we develop this? And of course, I thought of my great friends at Slap Happy. So I said, hey, you guys, what do you think of this? And they jumped at the opportunity to develop it further.
The legacy proves that these characters have legs. You take the characters, which are already so well realized and so full of potential, and you go, okay, how do these characters exist in this new world today? And that was part of a story driver for us, was imagining someone like Nick or Relic trying to function in this new modern world. Stay true to what the Beachcombers was, with its warm humor and its adventurous stories, but also bring it into the new modern way of telling stories in this animated medium.
And, reintroducing them to people who knew the series, and then, introducing them to the first time to a whole new generation of people who I think will appreciate these characters that were so beloved here in Canada and around the world, actually.
For so long.
Yeah.
We've got a pilot script written by Rick Drew and Daryl Dennis, which did an amazing job of, again, staying true to the series, but also modernizing it. So we'll take those materials and start pitching this.
We're thinking about the voices and who can replicate or, bring new life to some of these characters. And so we would welcome Ryan Reynolds.
Or fun cameos too.
Yeah.
So we're hoping within, in the fall, start pitching this, hopefully land an interested broadcaster. Typically a development deal, you're looking at about a year of back and forth with the broadcaster, trying to get it to somewhere where they feel like it's ready to go. And then you get your production order if all goes well. So we're still looking at a bit of a road here, but an exciting step is having all this art and getting the word out there that we're trying to make this happen.
They're assuming that everyone who uses self-checkout is going to steal.
Have you been forced to show your receipt as you leave the store? Well, with rising prices, so too is the frequency of shoplifting, especially at self-checkouts. We'll have more on that story after the break. Stay with us. And thank you for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. After over a decade of filming in Vancouver, the CW's Arrowverse TV series, which employed thousands of BC workers, has ended. But as Janella Hamilton tells us, many are worried about their next gig because the writers' strike has made productions here more scarce.
Don't you want to die holding them when the world ends?
Vancouver-born actor Osric Chow has played many different roles on the CW's Arrowverse television series. He credits the long-running franchise for kickstarting his career.
That became kind of the bedrock of my career, my circle of friends, like the ethos of everything I want to do and achieve. It kind of really stems from what those shows kind of did.
Best known for his role as Kevin Tran on the CW's Supernatural, a show that filmed in the Lower Mainland for 15 years. He went on to play the role of Ryan Choi before suiting up as the superhero, the Atom.
Hey, nice threads. Thanks, man. We've had so many breakout stars that started their careers on these shows, from Vancouver, from Canada.
It's not just the actors. The longevity of the Arrowverse series fueled the local industry and economy for years, hiring thousands of BC workers.
Those shows created incredible amounts of spin-off benefits for the economy and long-term jobs.
Until 2022, when the CW canceled or ended about 10 productions, many of which were filmed here in BC. CBC News reached out to the company to find out why the drop in productions. They did not respond by deadline. Add to that 11,000 Hollywood screenwriters walking off the job in May. Now the guild representing U.S. screen actors is preparing picket signs if a deal cannot be reached later this week.
A lot of the production here in BC is U.S. production, so if the American writers are on strike, it's having an impact on the shows.
The province's film and TV industry already experiencing a decrease in productions.
Let's say we have somewhere from 10 to 15 shows at some level of production right now. Normally this time of year, it could be anywhere from 30 to 40. So obviously there's a slowdown. Obviously there's, people are concerned. They don't know where they're going to go next.
I'm curious to see what kind of productions will fill in the gaps left.
He hopes it means more Canadian shows and films will be able to fill that void. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Welcome back. With prices rising in Canada, shoplifting has gone up as well. And while self-checkout stations save time, experts say they are making the problem worse for many stores. As Sophia Harris tells us, some customers are pushing back on some methods to address the problem.
Brian Simpson found a recent trip to Canadian Tire unsettling. After paying for his items at self-checkout, he says a security guard blocked him from leaving and demanded to see his receipt.
I don't like that they're painting us all with the same brush, that they're assuming that everyone who uses self-checkout is going to steal.
Retailers like Canadian Tire, Walmart, and Loblaw sometimes do receipt checks, so CBC News asked them if self-checkout theft is behind it. Those retailers didn't directly address the question, so we consulted the experts.
These systems are laden with opportunity potentially for people to abuse them.
UK criminologist Adrian Beck studies self-checkout theft. He says it's a growing problem because of the expansion of self-checkouts.
You've got far more customers going through who think, hey, you know what, I can take advantage of the opportunities that these systems present for me to get something for free.
Beck recently surveyed 93 retailers across the globe. They estimated that as much as 23% of their store losses were due to a combination of customer error and theft at self-checkout. This video parodies one popular trick thieves use, scanning only some of their items.
So they'll scan the oranges there, but they'll put the steak in the bag. And
this store investigator says he frequently catches shoppers in the act.
Some of them say, oh, I forgot, or I scanned, but I just didn't realize it didn't come up. They'll always have an excuse.
About 50% is theft.
Beck says receipt checks are one way retailers are combating the problem.
They are trying to amplify the sense of risk of being caught.
But receipt checks are getting pushback from shoppers.
If you're experiencing a problem with theft, maybe you need to rethink whether or not self-checkout is right for your location or your store.
But Beck says self-checkouts are here to stay, as long as the savings in labor costs are higher than self-checkout losses. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
There is frustration and worry among many federal public servants and retirees. It comes after more than 1 million healthcare plans were switched over to a new administrator this month. As Kimberly Molina reports, the transition has been anything but smooth.
Here we go again, dear.
Yeah.
Here we go again. What time is it? Okay, so it's 4:45.
Thank you for calling Canada Life, servicing members of the public service, healthcare, and dental care plans.
Doreen and Stephen Hartling have heard that message dozens of times in the past week. And what comes next?
Our service representatives are temporarily unavailable due to higher than normal call volume.
It's an experience his former assistant deputy minister can't contain her frustration over.
I said to my husband this morning, I said, oh, I can't believe it. I'm getting that same stupid message. How many times are they going to hang up on me?
Hartling has also tried to log into the website numerous times, but keeps experiencing a similar roadblock. She's worried about when it comes time to refill an $1,800 medication.
If the pharmacy says it was denied, where do they go? Who do they call? The people that aren't answering the phone? It's like...
Some 1.7 million public service workers, retirees, and their dependents saw their health insurance plan switch to Canada Life on July 1st. Since then, we've heard from dozens of people who say they're facing similar problems, including being denied coverage or trouble trying to get through to anyone at Canada Life. The company is one of the largest insurance providers in the country, but when the public service healthcare plan switched from Sun Life to Canada Life, the company says it was still a massive undertaking, causing its website to crash momentarily and a big jump in call volume. In a statement to CBC, Canada Life says it's trying to boost staffing to handle the increased call volumes, and it apologized to members for any inconvenience this has caused. The company says its goal is to get wait times down to under a minute.
And it gives us a message that...
But for some, it all feels a bit like deja vu.
I don't know where we're going to go from here. It's sort of looking like it might turn into another Phoenix issue. Just a large government project that went awry right off the bat.
Kimberly Molina, CBC News, Ottawa.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is now in Lithuania for a two-day summit.
We're expanding our embassy in Riga, and we're officially establishing a Canadian embassy in Lithuania here in Vilnius, as well as a Canadian embassy in Estonia.
During a stop in Latvia, the Prime Minister signed an agreement on increasing Canada's military contribution to a NATO-led mission there. It'll eventually involve as many as 2,200 Canadian troops, help with weaponry and cyber activities, and cost $2.6 billion over 3 years. Starting tomorrow, Trudeau and other NATO leaders will discuss a plan to boost military spending to 2% of each alliance member's GDP. You are looking at a live shot over downtown Vancouver towards Burrard Inlet in the north. Well, seasonal weather on the south coast, yes, but much more volatile weather in the interior and the north. We'll find out what exactly that means for the wildfire danger with the full forecast next.
Another summer day on the beach in Vancouver. On days like this, unless you're a podiatrist, you likely don't pay much attention to people's feet or what's on them. If you did, you'd find various types of summer footwear, runners, sandals, etc. But you would also find, on the fashion conscious, sole suckers, the latest in topless footwear. Ross Judge hopes they will make him a lot of money. He's the importer, and people even stop him on the street to ask him about his topless shoes.
It's all I wear, 12 hours a day.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you can just lay in the sun with them on too, I suppose?
No problem.
Because then you wouldn't burn the bottom of your feet.
Sole suckers don't really suck at all. They stick. Adhesive on the little suckers sticks to your foot. If they get dirty, you wash them off and they're ready to go again. Sole suckers last about 6 months, ideal for the pro tanning tour. No more tan lines on the feet. Ross Judge has sold about 7,000 pairs in Vancouver in the past month or so, and he hopes the fad will really catch on.
They're the best thing to come along in footwear in years. They're so comfortable you wouldn't believe it. It's just a matter of clean, dry feet, clean, dry sandals, and you're off for the whole day.
Of course, sole suckers aren't for everyone. Even one of Judge's best friends won't be caught dead in a pair, and she's extremely fashion conscious.
15,000 people started their march at the foot of the test strip for the new transit system, the pride of the Bennett government. They were from every group and from every union, having come together to protest against the new Human Rights Bill, the new Tenants Act, and the bill on the public sector. Along with others, these three bills are perceived as opening the door to discrimination.
Social credit is a social disease.
Some people we interviewed were afraid to give their names for fear of reprisals.
Can you give me your name, please?
I'd rather not.
Why not? Well, I mean...
I have a nice job. I would prefer to keep it.
But one man did not care who knew how angry he was.
And he won't tell the people what his program was before the election. This man belongs in jail. He's a criminal. He lied to people.
The people, united, will never be defeated.
They gathered at the foot of the new covered stadium, another project of which the Socreds are so proud.
Fundamental human
The recently fired director of the Human Rights Branch, Hannah Jansen, swore to keep on fighting.
We want equality and dignity for all. Human rights are not for sale.
Meanwhile, overhead, a lone demonstrator threw a banner against those below.
We have this message for Bill Bennett.
Jack Monroe apologized for calling Bill Bennett quite a few names in the past. Well, he sort of apologized.
That if you walk like a duck and you quack like a duck, you're probably a duck. God damn it.
This is only the first demonstration. There already are two more planned for next week in Victoria. The summer in British Columbia promises to be long and hot. Georges Tremel, CBC News, Vancouver.
We're sharing really important information with the public, and I feel like this is exactly what our job is, especially as the public broadcaster, especially in morning radio. That's incredibly important.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox. CBC Vancouver is the premier media partner of the 2023 Surrey Fusion Festival, July 22nd and 23rd. Visit the festive cultural pavilions, enjoy free live music and family activities, and make sure you drop by the CBC tent for your chance to win CBC swag. And the Herb Original is a new CBC British Columbia podcast. Stream it today on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Our meteorologist Russ LeCate joins us with a full look at the forecast. And Russ, over the weekend, the weather was certainly to blame for a lot of wildfire activity. Where are we at right now?
Yeah, good evening, Tanya. The story today, again, was a lot of wildfire starts from the electrical activity, a lot of convective clouds out there. We had lightning from Smithers across the way to Dawson Creek. We had thunderstorms rumbling down in Cranbrook today. They were through parts of the Caribou into the central interior, even into the Fraser Canyon. Now, this is a model forecast. As we start rolling it ahead from tonight to tomorrow, I want to show you that the bulk of those showers are actually going to move slightly farther away from our area of concern. There will be a redevelopment of some thunderstorms at times during the day for parts of the interior tomorrow. Not as widespread, not quite as intense. We'll begin to see a little high pressure building aloft and also temperatures coming down by a few degrees. Right on the coastline, expect a cloudy start for the day tomorrow. In fact, it's quite a thick layer of cloud. It's here for a good chunk of the day. Eventually, it breaks up later on. And if we look to Wednesday morning, it's another of the same. So locally, your Metro Vancouver forecast, it's on the cooler and cloudier side for a couple of days in a row. Let's look at your BC-wide forecast location by location for tomorrow. Isolated thunderstorms redeveloping in parts of the central interior, into the Peace, into the northeast as well. But look at the temperature. It's come way down. It was up and over 30 degrees at this time last week. Now we're advertising highs in the mid-20s. Some light shower activity moving into the northwest and also parts of the outer coast, Haida Gwaii, Prince Rupert, some light showers expected, maybe working their way into Terrace as well. As far as what's happening over the southern interior, there are additional thunderstorms in your forecast. The temperature's not spiking quite as high as they have been, and I don't think that shower activity will be quite as widespread. Now, for the lower mainland, it's a slightly different story with that wind blowing. I think we're going to have a lot of cloud cover stacking up against the mountains. Yes, there's some raindrops in the forecast. Again, it's for areas over higher terrain and farther inland, and it's primarily confined to the morning only. Coastal communities, a fresh breeze, a lot of cloud, a little late day sun, and the mercury leveling off in the low 20s. Sounds like Wednesday's forecast. In fact, there it is, a coolish day, starting to warm up gradually Thursday. The temperature flirts with the 30-degree mark again in time for the weekend, so the heat will get turned up again in a few days.
All right, we'll enjoy the reprieve while we have it. Thanks so much, Russ.
Thank you.
And that is your late news for this Monday. For news anytime, you can always head to our website. We're at cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5:30. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.